to open this indicator up, we once again want to head up here to the indicators tab in TradingView. And now we want to search for pivot point and then high, low, like this, or pivot points. Yeah, pivot points, high, low. And the indicator we want to open up right here is this one at the top called pivot points, high and low. So let's open this one up. But all right, so now, as you can see here, multiple points here have appeared on the chart. One thing we can notice is that the very low here was marked by the pivot points. But before we can use this indicator, we actually need to change a few settings once again. To change the settings now, we actually need to go up here to the upper left corner, and we want to press on the settings button right here. Then we head up to, or we head over to the inputs tab. And here you can see that we have, it says pivot high and then 1010, and it says pivot low 1010. And this is basically the period the pivot points will be calculated on. So what I like to do here is that I like to make the pivot points even more significant. And we can do that by changing the length of the pivot high to 2020 and change the length of the pivot low to 2020. Yet another thing I like to do to make the pivot points just more clearly here on a white chart is changing this box to white, and I change the next box to black. Now the pivot points will be clearly visible on the chart. So now we are ready to go down here and press OK. And as you guys can see, now you can see multiple pivots here on the chart. But what are these points and why can they actually be useful? Well, one thing we can see on this forex chart right here is that it looks like we have multiple pivot points around the same level right here, and we also have multiple pivot points right here. When we see multiple pivot points at the same level, this often suggests that we have a strong resistance or a strong support. So these can be levels that are definitely worth paying attention to. So let's actually mark up these levels on our chart. We go here to the horizontal line, we mark up these levels, and as you can see, it looks like these levels was very important price levels, because together these levels actually created a beautiful trading range. Remember from earlier in the course, a trading range is when we have a sideways movement. And one thing that is very beautiful about this chart is that what you can see here, what happened? Well, you can see that right here, the price actually broke below the support. So this is one bearish sign that we might consider shorting this market or bet that the market will go down. At the same time, we had this strong bearish reading on the MACD. This suggests that we can look out for the next pullback. And then right here, you can see that the next pullback actually came in and we touched the previous support that now has flipped to become resistance. So this was yet another sign that this might be a good shorting opportunity. So we basically had three bearish things happening at the same time. This made this a good short, and after all of these signs, we can see that the price completely collapsed here to the downside. So this is basically how I use pivot points. I like to use them to find some of the most important support and resistance levels. You can, for example, see if we zoom out a bit here, you can actually see that we had some previous resistance coming in right here, right? The price broke this resistance and then it flipped to become support, and so on and so on. You will realize that many times these pivot points will be significant market structure levels. But all right, so this video was actually just a very short clip from our full swing trading course right here on YouTube. To access the full course, simply click or tap on the screen right here. I hope I will see you all over there very, very soon.